My mother-in-law took my car to keep me controlled. Minus my dad said, "Get in." This ends tonight. The text message arrived at 8:17 a.m. 3 words. "Your car's gone." At first, I thought it was a joke. Then I looked outside. The driveway was empty. My stomach dropped, because the car wasn't just transportation. It was mine, paid for by me, registered to me. And somehow, overnight, it had disappeared. 30 minutes later, my mother-in-law called, and what she said made my blood run cold. I took it, just like that. No apology, no explanation, no hesitation. Then she laughed, actually laughed, and added, "You've become too independent." I stood frozen in my kitchen, certain I had misunderstood. Then she delivered the sentence that changed everything. "Some women need limits." What she didn't know was that my father was already on his way, and before midnight, a secret my husband had hidden for years would explode our entire family. My name is Emma Reynolds. And until that morning, I thought my biggest problem was my marriage. I was wrong, very wrong. Because my marriage wasn't the problem. It was part of the plan. A plan I hadn't seen. A plan that had been building for years. And my mother-in-law, Patricia, was at the center of it. Patricia wasn't the screaming type. She was smarter than that. Much smarter. People loved her. Neighbors adored her. Church members praised her. Family members defended her. She never looked controlling. She looked caring. Which made her dangerous. Because every cruel thing she did came wrapped in concern. Every manipulation sounded like advice. Every insult sounded like help. And every attempt to control me came disguised as love. The first twist happened an hour later. I called the police. Simple enough. My car was gone. I knew who took it. Open and shut. At least, that's what I thought. Then the officer asked one question. "Who's listed on the secondary authorization form?" I frowned. "What? Authorization form?" The silence on the other end lasted 3 seconds. 3 very long seconds. Then he said, "The form that allows another person to access the vehicle." My pulse exploded. What? There was a secondary authorization attached to my account. Someone had added it, legally, months ago, and the authorized person was Patricia, my mother-in-law. I nearly dropped the phone, because I never signed any form, never approved any request, never gave permission. Which meant one thing: someone else had. My husband. Ryan. The realization hit me instantly. Only Ryan could have done it. Only Ryan had access. Only Ryan knew my account details. And suddenly the missing car became something much worse. Betrayal. I called him immediately. No answer again, no answer. Third time. Straight to voicemail. The longer he ignored me, the angrier I became. Then, a message arrived. Not from Ryan, from Patricia. "Don't overreact. This is for your own good. For my own good." My hands started shaking. Because, controlling. People always say the same thing. They convince themselves they're helping, even when they're hurting you. Then came the second twist. Around noon, my father arrived. No warning, no phone call, just showed up. The second he walked through the door, he looked at my face and knew something was wrong. I explained everything. The missing car, Patricia, the authorization form, Ryan's silence, the entire mess. He listened quietly. Didn't interrupt, didn't judge, didn't even react. Then, he asked one question: "Who benefits if you can't leave?" The room went silent, because until that moment I hadn't considered that. Not seriously. Why take my car? Why now? Why risk legal trouble? Unless the goal wasn't the vehicle, unless the goal was me. Then Dad said something I'll never forget. "Emma, people don't remove someone's freedom unless they're afraid of what that person might do." A chill ran through my body. because suddenly the timing seemed strange. Very strange. 3 days earlier, I had asked Ryan about missing money. Money from our joint account. Nearly $20,000. He claimed it was a banking error. I wasn't convinced. And now my car was gone. That couldn't be a coincidence, could it? Then came another twist. My father made a phone call, one call, to someone I didn't recognize. 10 minutes later, he turned toward me. His face looked different. Hard, serious, almost angry. "Get your purse." My stomach tightened. Why? He stared directly at me. Because whatever he learned had changed everything. Then he said 6 words. "Get in. This ends tonight." And for the first time all day, I was terrified to find out what he meant. The drive across town felt endless. Dad didn't say much, which was unusual, because my father always had something to say. Advice, warnings, stories, something. But this time, nothing. Just silence. The kind of silence that tells you something bad is coming. Very bad. 20 minutes later, we pulled into the parking lot of a small accounting firm. I frowned. "What are we doing here?" Dad killed the engine, then looked directly at me. "Finding out where your money went." My stomach dropped. The missing $20,000. The money Ryan claimed was tied up in a banking error. The money I hadn't stopped thinking about for days. Suddenly, it wasn't just suspicious. It was connected. Somehow, inside the office, a woman named Karen greeted us. She shook my hand, then immediately slid several documents across the desk. The moment I saw my name, my pulse exploded. Bank statements, wire transfers, withdrawal records, account authorizations, everything. And according to those documents, the money never disappeared. It was moved, transferred, intentionally. Then came the third twist. The account receiving the money belonged to a business. Not Ryan. Not Patricia. A business. The company name meant nothing to me. Sterling Family Holdings. I stared at it, confused. Then, Karen revealed something shocking. The company had only one listed officer, Patricia, my mother-in-law. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. $20,000 from my account into Patricia's company, without my permission, without my knowledge, without explanation. The betrayal felt physical, like someone punched me in the chest. Then Dad asked the question I couldn't. "Who authorized it?" Karen hesitated, then answered, "Your husband." The room went silent, completely silent, because deep down, I already knew. I just didn't want it to be true. Ryan hadn't made a mistake. He hadn't forgotten. He hadn't been confused. He authorized everything. Then came the fake twist. And for a few hours, I believed it. Karen handed over another document, one showing repeated payments to the same woman, thousands of dollars. Month after month, the name appeared over and over again. Jessica Moore. I felt sick because my first thought was obvious. Affair. Everyone's first thought would be. Even Dad looked concerned. And suddenly every late night, every cancelled plan, every unexplained absence started making sense. Or so I thought. But the truth was much worse. Much, much worse. Because Jessica wasn't a girlfriend. She wasn't a mistress. She wasn't secretly seeing Ryan. She was an attorney, Patricia's attorney. And every payment was connected to legal documents. Documents being prepared for months. Documents involving me. My hands started shaking. What kind of documents? Nobody answered immediately. Then Karen opened another file, and my entire world tilted sideways. Because the paperwork wasn't about money, not directly. It was about control, legal control. Patricia had been building a case against me, for nearly a year. Collecting records, saving emails, tracking purchases, documenting arguments, creating a narrative, a false narrative, one designed to portray me as irresponsible, financially unstable, emotionally reckless, unfit to manage assets. I felt sick, actually sick, because every kind thing, every favor, every conversation suddenly looked different. Patricia wasn't helping me. She was documenting me. Then Dad stood up, slowly, very slowly, and asked, "Why?" The answer came from the next file, and it revealed the fourth twist. A financial twist, one none of us saw coming. 6 months earlier, my grandmother died. Most of the family believed her estate was simple, modest, nothing dramatic. But according to the documents, that wasn't true, not even close. Hidden inside the estate was a trust, a very large trust, worth over $3 million. My heart nearly stopped. $3 million. I had never heard anything about that. Not once. Then Karen turned another page, and there it was. My name, not Ryan's, mine. The room spun, because suddenly everything made sense. The missing money, the missing car, the sudden control, the surveillance, the legal files, the manipulation. Patricia wasn't trying to protect Ryan. She was trying to control me, because I was scheduled to receive access to the trust in less than 30 days. Then came the fifth twist. The trust wasn't automatic. There was a condition, a very specific condition. The beneficiary had to demonstrate financial independence, complete independence, no guardianship, no legal supervision, no questions about competency, nothing. If anyone successfully challenged my ability to manage my affairs, the trust would be frozen, possibly for years. And Patricia knew it. My stomach dropped, because suddenly her actions weren't random. They were strategic, brilliantly strategic. Take the car, create dependency, question my decisions, manufacture instability, then challenge my eligibility. It was evil, but it was smart, dangerously smart. Then my phone rang. Ryan. Finally, I answered. Immediately. The second I heard his voice, I knew something was wrong, very wrong. He sounded terrified. Not guilty, terrified. Emma, what? His breathing was uneven, fast, panicked. Then he whispered, "You need to leave." Every muscle in my body tightened. "What are you talking about?" More silence. Then, "Mom knows you're looking." A chill raced down my spine because the way he said it wasn't a warning. It was fear, real fear. Then he added 6 words that changed everything. "She lied to me too, Emma." And before I could ask another question, the call disconnected. 10 seconds later, a text message arrived. Unknown number. Just one sentence. "No matter what Ryan tells you, don't trust him." Attached to the message was a photograph that made my blood run cold. Because it showed Ryan standing beside Patricia, signing documents, months ago. The very documents used against me. And suddenly I had no idea who was telling the truth anymore. My husband, my mother-in-law, or the person secretly watching all of us. Because somebody knew everything, and whoever they were, they had just declared war. I stared at the photograph on my phone. Ryan, Patricia, a conference room, stacks of paperwork, and Ryan's signature clearly visible. For several seconds, I couldn't think, because the picture contradicted everything. Ryan claimed he was scared, claimed Patricia lied to him, claimed he wanted to help me, but the photo told a different story, a very different story. Dad looked over my shoulder. The moment he saw the image, his expression darkened. Interesting. I frowned. What? He zoomed in, closer, closer, then tapped the corner of the photograph. "You see that?" At first, I didn't. Then my stomach dropped. The date. The picture was taken 4 months ago. 4 months. But the legal documents Patricia used against me weren't drafted until 2 months later, which meant something important. The photo wasn't proof. Not really. Someone wanted it to look like proof. And suddenly I realized something terrifying. Someone was manipulating the evidence. Then came the sixth twist. The mystery. Texter called, not texted called. I answered immediately. Who are you? The voice on the other end was female, older, nervous, and strangely familiar. Then she said 3 words that made my blood run cold. It's your aunt, my Aunt Carol, Patricia's younger sister, the last person I expected. For years, Carol and Patricia barely spoke. Most of the family assumed they hated each other. Nobody knew why. Nobody asked. Family secrets had a way of staying buried, until now. Carol sounded terrified. Patricia knows I've been helping you. My pulse quickened. Helping me? She's gone too far. The fear in her voice felt genuine, very genuine. Then she delivered another bombshell. The photograph wasn't taken during a conspiracy. It was taken during a mediation meeting, a meeting Ryan attended, because Patricia claimed she was helping save our marriage. My stomach tightened. Because if that was true, then Ryan wasn't necessarily working against me. At least not yet. Then, Carol revealed the seventh twist, the real reason she contacted me, and it changed everything. The $3 million trust wasn't originally mine. The room felt silent. Even Dad stopped moving. What? Carol swallowed hard. The trust had another beneficiary. My heart nearly stopped. Another beneficiary. Who, why, and most importantly, what happened to them? Carol hesitated, then answered. The beneficiary was your mother. I froze. My mother had died 7 years earlier. Cancer. Fast. Aggressive, devastating. The loss nearly destroyed me. And now somehow she was connected to all of this. Then, Carol said something that made my knees weak. Emma, your mother never wanted Patricia involved. The room started spinning, because my mother and Patricia had always appeared close. Friends, family, supportive. At least that's what I believed. Apparently I was wrong, very wrong. According to Carol, my mother discovered financial irregularities years before she died. Large. Transfers, missing records, trust amendments, questionable signatures. She became suspicious. Then she started asking questions. Dangerous questions. Questions Patricia didn't want answered. Then came the betrayal twist. The biggest one so far. Patricia wasn't acting alone. Not now, not then. She had help. Someone inside the family. Someone close to me. Someone I trusted. Someone who knew every detail of my life. The moment Carol said that, one name immediately entered my mind. Ryan. But Carol surprised me. Because the name she gave wasn't Ryan, not even close. It was Melissa. My best friend. I felt physically ill, Melissa. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Melissa had been part of my life for over a decade. She attended my wedding, comforted me after my mother's death, helped me through countless problems. There was no way. No way. Then, Carol emailed evidence, bank transfers, messages, meeting records, everything. And there it was. Melissa's name, over and over again. Feeding Patricia information, private information, my schedules, my conversations, my financial plans, even details from private text messages. I felt sick. The betrayal cut deeper than anything Ryan had done, because Ryan was family. Melissa was chosen family, and she sold me out. Dad looked furious, not angry, furious. The kind of anger I had only seen a few times in my life. Then he asked one question. Why would she do it? The answer arrived an hour later, and it revealed The eighth twist, money. Of course it was money. Melissa had been receiving payments, small at first, then larger, then much larger. Patricia wasn't just buying information, she was building an operation. A network, a system, designed to monitor and influence everyone connected to the trust. Then everything changed, because Carol sent one final file, a video. A hidden recording, only 12 minutes long, but powerful enough to destroy Patricia. The video showed a private meeting, Patricia, an attorney, and another person sitting with their back toward the camera. The attorney asked a simple question. What happens if Emma gains control of the trust? Patricia's answer chilled me. Then we lose everything. We, not I. We, meaning multiple people were involved. Multiple people depended on stopping me. And suddenly, this wasn't about $3 million anymore. It was about something much bigger. Something hidden. Something valuable enough to justify years of manipulation. Then came the family secret twist, the one nobody saw coming. Near the end of the recording, the attorney mentioned a property connected to the trust, a property worth significantly more than $3 million. My pulse exploded, because I recognized the address instantly. It belonged to my grandfather's old ranch, the ranch everyone believed had been sold 15 years ago. Except according to the trust documents, it was never sold. It was transferred, quietly, secretly, and hidden. The current estimated value, over $25 million. The room went silent. 25 million, not 3, 25. Suddenly Patricia's obsession made perfect sense. The car, the manipulation, the surveillance, the legal attacks, the lies. She wasn't trying to control me. She was trying to control what I was about to inherit. And for the first time since this nightmare began, Dad looked genuinely worried, because after watching the rest of the video, he discovered something even worse, something that made him immediately stand up and grab his keys. I looked at him. What is it? His answer sent a chill through my body. Patricia isn't the mastermind. My stomach dropped. What? Dad stared at the screen, his face pale, serious, terrified. Then he said, I know who's behind her. And the name he spoke next changed everything. I thought I knew about my marriage. I stared at my father. The room felt ice cold. Who is it? Dad didn't answer immediately. Instead, he closed the laptop. Slowly, carefully, like he was trying to prepare me for something. Then he finally spoke, and the name that came out of his mouth nearly stopped my heart. Ryan. For several seconds I couldn't breathe. My husband, the man I'd defended, the man I'd married, the man I had spent the last 3 parts convincing myself might be another victim. No. According to Dad, he was the architect, the mastermind, the person behind everything. No. The word escaped. Before I could stop it, Dad nodded sadly. I know. No. I stood up, pacing, shaking my head. He was scared. Maybe. He warned me. Maybe. He said Patricia lied. Dad looked directly at me. That doesn't mean he wasn't lying, too. The room fell silent, because deep down, I knew that was true. Then came the 9th twist. The hidden recording wasn't finished. There were 6 minutes we hadn't watched. Dad played the rest, and everything changed. The person sitting beside Patricia finally turned toward the camera. My heart stopped, because it wasn't Ryan. It wasn't even close. It was Patricia's husband, Walter, my father-in-law, a quiet man, a passive man, a man everyone ignored, including me. The entire family viewed Walter as harmless, invisible, soft-spoken, the type of person who never made decisions. Apparently, that was exactly what he wanted us to believe. The attorney asked Walter a question, one simple question. Does Ryan know everything? Walter smiled, then answered, not even half. The room went silent, because suddenly Ryan wasn't the mastermind. He was a pawn again, just like me. Then came another twist. Walter wasn't just Patricia's husband. He was the person who secretly managed the trust assets. For years, the ranch, the investments, the property holdings, everything. And somehow, nobody questioned it, nobody checked, nobody verified, because Patricia distracted everyone, while Walter controlled everything behind the curtain. Then Dad uncovered something terrifying. Walter wasn't protecting $25 million. Not anymore. The assets had grown massively through land development, mineral rights, commercial leases, private partnerships. The actual value exceeded $48 million. $48 million. I nearly fell back into my chair, because suddenly this wasn't a family dispute. It was a war. Then Ryan called again. This time I answered immediately. Tell me the truth. Silence. Then, you. No, not a question. A statement. My stomach dropped. Because his voice sounded broken, defeated. Then Ryan finally confessed. Years earlier, Patricia convinced him the trust belonged to the entire family. She claimed I would inherit everything, leave him with nothing, control everyone's future. Ryan believed her, at first. Then she convinced him to help gather information. Financial records, documents, schedules, details, small things, harmless things. Or so he thought. By the time he realized the truth, he was trapped, too involved, too compromised, too afraid to walk away. I wanted to hate him, part of me did. But another part saw exactly what Patricia had done. She manipulated people, used them, controlled them, destroyed them. Ryan wasn't innocent, not even close, but he wasn't the mastermind either. Then came the inheritance battle. The real one. The attorneys moved quickly. The hidden recordings surfaced. The financial transfers surfaced. Melissa's payments surfaced. Everything surfaced. And once the evidence became public, Patricia's entire empire began collapsing. Friends disappeared. Business partners vanished. Relatives stopped defending her. Lawyers resigned. Employees quit. People who once praised her suddenly wanted nothing to do with her, because the truth was finally visible, and the truth was ugly. Then came the confrontation. The final confrontation. The one I'd imagined 100 times. Patricia agreed to meet. Not because she wanted peace, because she thought she could still win. The meeting took place at the ranch. The same ranch she'd spent years trying to steal. The same ranch, connected to the trust. The same ranch, worth millions. Patricia arrived wearing confidence, like armor, but I noticed something immediately. For the first time in years, she looked nervous. You've caused a lot of damage, she smiled. So have you. Typical Patricia. Never admitting fault. Never accepting responsibility. Always twisting reality. Then I placed the evidence on the table. Every document, every transfer, every recording, every payment, every lie. The smile disappeared. Slowly, painfully, completely. Then came the final shocking twist. The biggest twist of all. One hidden by my grandmother herself. One nobody knew. Not Walter, not Patricia, not Ryan. Nobody. The final trust amendment was discovered inside a sealed safety deposit box. A box opened only after the investigation began. Inside was a handwritten letter from my grandmother and one final instruction. If any beneficiary attempted to manipulate, control, threaten, or legally interfere with another beneficiary's rights, they would automatically lose everything. Everything. No exceptions, no appeals, no loopholes, nothing. Patricia lost her claim. Walter lost his claim. Every person involved lost their claim. Immediately, legally, permanently. And then came the final surprise. The ranch, the investments, the assets, the $48 million. They weren't left to me alone. They were placed into a family foundation, one designed to preserve the property permanently, and my grandmother named only one trustee. Me. Patricia looked stunned, absolutely stunned. For years she fought to own the ranch, control the ranch, profit from the ranch, and in the end, she received nothing, not a dollar. Months later, lawsuits ended. Walter faced fraud investigations. Patricia lost her influence. Melissa disappeared from my life forever. Ryan and I divorced peacefully, not because I hated him, because trust once broken, that deeply never fully returns. The last time I saw Patricia, she looked at me and asked, was it worth it? I thought about everything she'd taken. My peace, my marriage, my freedom, my confidence, years of my life. Then I smiled and gave her the only answer she deserved. No, she looked surprised. Then I continued. Because this was never about the money. The smile disappeared, and for the first time, she understood. The greatest thing I inherited wasn't $48 million. It wasn't land. It wasn't property. It wasn't power. It was freedom. The freedom to live without fear. The freedom to stop being controlled. The freedom to walk away from people who mistake love for ownership. And as I drove away from the ranch that evening, I realized something my mother-in-law never understood. The moment someone tries to control your life, they've already lost the right to be part of it. The end.